यूज करना प्लान सही है तो मैं पेट कर दूंगा ये कुछ पेट से और करना हुआ है आज तो ये कौन से
I hope I'm audible to everyone. Can just someone let me know if I'm audible to everyone or not.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. There are certain guidelines for the session. Everyone is requested to kindly switch on their videos and keep their mics muted during the session. After the session, there would be a Q&A session where you can ask your question to the Honorable Justice and he will be answering the same. Everyone is requested to kindly switch on their cameras.
Yeah, Rupam, I have joined. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. We'll be starting the session in another 2 minutes, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Right.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rupam Banerjee. I'll be your moderator for today's event. I, on behalf of the Amicus Curie, welcome you all to the national webinar on future of legal education in India. And our chief guest for today's event is Justice Arijit Prasad, former Judge, Supreme Court of India. So moving ahead, I'll just introduce with you all about the amicus curiae. The amicus curiae is the brainchild of several legal luminaries and eminent personalities across the country and the globe. The amicus curiae is a dream online platform which aims at proliferating legal knowledge and providing an indigenous understanding and cognizance of various fields of law to make sure that legal knowledge and experiences penetrate to every nook and corner of the country and the ever-growing legal fraternity. Through ambitious and studious legal brains across the country, the amicus curiae aims at providing valuable contribution to contemporary legal issues and developments in the omnipresent fields of law to the masses. The amicus curiae is also registered under the Indian Partnership Act 1932, Ministry of MSME Government of India, as well as it's also an ISO 1901 2015 organization. Now moving forward, we have with our chief guest as Justice Dr. Arjit Prasad. Sir was enrolled as an advocate in 1968. He practiced in taxation, commercial and constitutional matters, accountancy and articleships in chartered accountancy, and passed the intermediate chartered accountancy examination as well. Sir was appointed as an additional judge in the Orissa High Court Sir was appointed as the additional judge in the Orissa High Court. He was also appointed as the Chief Justice of the Kerala High Court on September 20, 1999. And then you have been appointed as the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court on 10th May 2000. Sir has also been the former judge of the Supreme Court of India. So without further more delay, I'll request Sir to kindly take over from here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you are all fine and safe during the hard times. Well, when I was invited to speak to all of you, I thought the best subject would be legal education. So that's because legal education had never received any significant attention from the policymakers. For the first time, when the National Education Policy of 2020 was introduced, there was some focus on legal education. Now, what's the importance of legal education? I'll tell you in brief. It has to be remembered that as lawyers, judges, students, and teachers of law, we are all partners in a great adventure. That is the adventure of administration and justice. Lawyers and judges are really trustees to the litigants who come to the courts either for vindication of their constitutional rights, private rights, or civil rights, and therefore the task has to be approached with deep consciousness of this fact and with a sense of responsibility. The profession of law is a very noble profession, but unfortunately throughout the ages, lawyers and judges have been figures of satire and caricature at the hands of various authors right from the ancient days. In the Roman times, the poet Martial described lawyer as a men who hire out their words and anger. Coming to the Middle Ages, Chaucer in his prologue to the Canterbury Tales poked sly fun at the man of laws. Then we come to the most quoted description of lawyers by Dean Swift in his Gulliver's Travels, in which lawyers are described as a society of men amongst us, bred up from the youth in the art of proving by words multiplied for that purpose that white is black and black is white, according as they are paid. An American humorist, H.L. Menasco, described as a judge as a law student who sits and marks his own examination papers and I suppose gives himself first pass. Today, the task of judges, lawyers, law students, and teachers has become very difficult from what it was earlier, because then the emphasis was on private laws. Today, in the changed society, the emphasis is on private rights, constitutional rights, public rights, on rights which have been conferred upon the weaker and disadvantaged sections of the society. What was taught to me during my college days has today become almost obsolete, so far as the practice of law is concerned. Law has to keep pace and has kept pace throughout the ages with changing needs of the society. And it is therefore useful for both a lawyer who presents his client's case as also for a judge who decides that case to know how legal concepts have grown, how they have been shaped, how they have been changed, and how old concepts have given place to new ones. This important aspect has to be kept in view by those who study law and those who teach them. The purpose of law is essentially to serve the society and people. In this context, it is important to address one of the major criticisms raised against the modern law schools. The focus of modern schools curriculum on private corporate sector leads to them supplying trained graduates to corporate jobs in legal and managerial positions instead of creating motivated professionals willing to practice and work in legal aid, etc. At the same time, in corollary to this, the students enrolling in most of the modern law schools belong to a privileged class, caste, gender, social, and ableist strata. Inclusively at this stage is also limited to the bare minimum as prescribed under legal mandate. But the original founding principle behind the establishment of modern system was to provide well-trained lawyers to the bar and the judicial service to enlarge access to justice and improve the quality of justice for the common man. The inequalities created by this trend within the profession have also pointed out before the existence of huge disparity of income and resources between those in the corporate sector and those practicing in courts. Clearly, this was the unintended and undesired consequence of revolutionary reform introduced in legal education. But this is an absolute issue that can be addressed if the causes and the remedies are focused. Speaking on the topic reminds me of what a great American judge of the Supreme Court of the United States, Sir Justice Felix Frankfurter, has stated. A young schoolboy named Paul Clausen, aged about 12 years, living in the city of Alexandria, opposite to Washington, D.C., where the Supreme Court of the United States is situated on the other bank of the river Potomac, wrote to Justice Frankfurter that he had a great desire to go in for law and sought his advice how he should prepare and equip himself for the study of law. Justice Frankfurter replied, I will read that reply. It's very eloquent. Dear my dear Paul, no one can be truly competent lawyer unless he is a truly cultivated man. If I were you, I would forget all about any technical preparation for the law. The best way to prepare for the law is to come to the study of the law as a well-read person. Thus alone can one acquire the capacity to use the English language on paper and in speech, and with the habits of clear thinking, which only a true liberal education can give. No less important for a lawyer is the cultivation of the imaginative faculties by reading poetry, seeing great paintings in the original or in easily available reproductions, and listening to great music. Stock your mind with the deposit of much good reading and widen and deepen your feelings by experiencing vicariously as much as possible the wonderful mysteries of the universe and forget all about your future career. Justice Frankfurter wrote a letter several decades ago. Today, even something more necessary is there for making a competent lawyer or a competent judge. That is the knowledge of business, commerce, and something of economics, of socio-economic problems, of political philosophies. You must have knowledge of bookkeeping and of accounts. You must be acquainted with various activities of life, which someday or the other would come to a court of law. Because today legislation regulates almost every branch and activity of life. And where there is legislation, there must be litigation. There can be no excellence in law without excellence in lawyers. Chief Justice Warren Burger of the United States expressed his belief that about one half of American practicing lawyers are not adequately qualified to represent their clients. And he added that the incompetence of lawyers is one of the major reasons for delay in courts. The Chief Justice further stated that some United States lawyers do not even know how to ask a question in law. Others subject to everything. He said, giving the example of a lawyer who exclaimed, "That was a leading question," when a witness was asked, "Is your name Mr. Goldman?" One of the reasons for the incompetence of so many lawyers is the incredible and ever-increasing complexity of law. The legal profession requires a capacity for hard work far above the ordinary. When an anxious mother asked Lord Thoreau whether he would advise her son to take on law as a profession, the Lord Chancellor's reply was, "Madam, can your son work like a horse and live like a hermit?" Lord Reading made the memorable quip that when he joined the bar, he thought it would be a bed of roses. He soon discovered it was either all roses and no bed, or all bed and no roses. Certain ideals and values which open a larger meaning to human existence will always be beyond the pale of law. And that is why a lawyer has to be well versed in other subjects if he desires to aim at excellence. It is a matter of great concern that legal education had not received the attention it deserved. The Law Commission on Reforms of Judicial Administration had noted that there is a mushroom growth of law colleges with very hard-hitting boards. A critic had said that lawyers coming out from the law colleges, such law colleges, are half-baked lawyers left loose on the society as drones and parasites. Today, unfortunately, there is a big gap between what lawyers are expected to do in certain areas and what is actually done. The basic difference can be traced to inadequate legal education and the entry of unqualified, ill-equipped lawyers into profession. My advice to students who want to take law as a profession is simply this: your duties to the society are many. You are the present and future intellectual thought bearers of the society. People are bound to look up to you for leadership guidance, advice, and assistance. Do not hesitate to offer your service to society whenever it is possible to do so. Do not think you have no time. A busy man finds time for everything. A lazy man cannot find time for anything. You have, however, to equip yourself for the great tasks which lie before you. You must study human life in all its aspects. You must enlarge your mental outlook. You should exert yourself to redeem the society from the difficulties. You must attend to its economic and social welfare. You must have the faith in yourselves. Do not feel frustrated if you do not get early success. Depend on your inner capacity and on your moral fiber. Do not allow adversity and temporary obstacles to kill your enthusiasm. Success comes to those who dare and act. You have great opportunity. Please do not allow them to lapse. Before coming to an end, I must tell you something which of course has been said in a lighter vein. In a court of law, a senior lawyer was addressing the lawyer appearing for the other side as Mr. Necessity. And this went on for some time. The presiding judge reminded the lawyer that the name of the counsel was not Mr. Necessity, but was something else. The senior lawyer politely said, "Your Honor, I know his name, but I am only repeating the famous saying that necessity knows no law," and reminding him that he does not know law. I'm very sure the present day educational institutions teaching law will not have the rare privilege of being addressed. there is one more thing, that law, the rule of law is the primary goal of every citizen. And for that, the lawyers have to take a leading role, have to lead from the front. And for that, they must have seriousness while studying law. And the future of legal education would depend upon how you take the legal education seriously and how you devote your time for it. Thank you.
Sir, am I audible to you?
Yeah, please.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening session. So there are some questions. So if you may permit, if you just proceed with the Q&A.
No, sure. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Sir. Sir, we have a first question, that what are the challenges that you have faced in the Indian judicial system in the years that you have practiced in both the High Court and the Supreme Court of India?
There cannot be any generalization in this. Challenges are many, because when, as somebody rightly said, that a judge does everything every day which others avoid doing, that is taking a decision. And for that matter, you see, there I have to say something which I have always felt, that the role of the judicial officers, right from the lowest rank up to the Supreme Court, is very challenging. But the lower court judicial officers, they must always keep in mind that for 99.9% of the people who come before them, they are the Supreme Court. In a country like ours, where a normal citizen cannot afford a hospital education, he has to be either satisfied or leave it to his fate with the decision of the lowest rank. So therefore, challenges are for taking a right decision, and I feel that if you take that decision with a clear heart and head, there will be hardly any scope for finding a fault with the decision that you have taken.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. Our next question is, sir, what, according to you, what is the future of the virtual courts in India?
You see, you have to accept it as a way of life today. Okay, as a matter of fact, we, in our days, we had never thought that we will be having a time when we have to act like, interacting like we are doing it at the present. And for that, you have to, a lot of many of us, we have to depend upon our children and grandchildren to take us how to technically handle it. So now it's almost become a way of life, and we have to accept it so long as critical hearings are not practicable. And I don't think that critical hearings will be practicable, at least in the near future.
Sure, sir. Sir, what is the guidance that you want to give to the budding lawyers who are watching you right now and who want to pursue their dream in the judiciary or in the litigation purpose?
Just do what I said, what Justice Frankfurter had said before. Become accomplished in reading good poetry, reading good novels, seeing films, and devote as much attention to study of law as to do it. For a lawyer, every day there is an examination. He has to appear before the judge as a mark setter who will evaluate his performance and will give his marks. And of course, all successful lawyers necessarily have not succeeded in all cases. You see, there are many cases where the stalwarts have lost. And in many cases, novice lawyers, new fresh entrants have succeeded. So it all depends upon the merits of the case and not much on the merits of the lawyer, because the lawyer will have certainly a role to present the best way his client's case.
Sure, sir. Thank you for your answer. If the participants are having any other question, they can write in the chat box. I will be reading it out. Sir, we'll be waiting for another 2 minutes. If you are having any question, and otherwise we'll end it. The participants are requested to kindly DM their questions in the chat box if they have any. Sir, I personally have one more question to you.
Yeah, certainly. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir, as you have seen that during the last 1.5 years, all the things are virtual. So do you think this studying the law, which is totally a practical in field, to studying it virtually and doing all this internship virtually will actually help a student to gain such knowledge that we used to get in physical courts or in physical classes, sir?
Arupam, I'll tell you something. You see, during our days, we had never heard of a laptop. For that matter, we used to read every book that was coming to us physically in the hard print. Now, that time, actually, I must tell you in a lighter vein, we used to depend too much on the greatest computer that has come to us, the human mind, God has given to us. We never had any assistance from technical aspects like laptops, iPads, etc. But that was one advantage, that we had to apply our mind, not that you go just click the mouse and get an answer for every query that you have, or every decision that you have to set. So that way, there are advantages and disadvantages. When you read something physically, it remains in your mind for some time or for a longer time, depending upon your memory. But when you are too much dependent on technology, you know that I don't have to do anything. I'll just have to put the question and click it and get the answer, get the decision. So that is why I always feel that too much of dependence on technology is a counterproductive. Depend upon the God-given computer that they have. And that also leads to innovation. Because if you depend too much on technology for getting the answer, there is no innovation. But if you do it physically yourself, you apply your mind, there is a scope for improvement and innovation, which is very important.
Sure, sir. Thank you. But see, according to the situation right now due to COVID and all, we are bound to get to this new normal, sir. So, in this new normal, how can you, find the actual things because we are not able to go to the physical courts or to the physical classroom for the study purposes.
You see, it will all depend upon the actual fact situation ground really. So you have to adjust according to the ground reality. That's very important. As you rightly said, you cannot physically have access to everything. That's right. But I'm speaking generally. Now, in the present day, of course, you have to be technically savvy or technically different.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your answer. So the participants, if you don't have any question, will be moving to the thank you note. If you have any question, kindly DM it in the chat box. We'll read it out. So, sir, I guess there is no other questions. So if you permit, we can move towards the thank you note, sir, with your due permission. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful session, sir. I'd like to proceed with the thank you note. I, Rupam Banerjee, takes the immense pleasure in rendering today's vote of thanks to Justice Arijit Prasad, sir. On behalf of the whole organization, I thank you for connecting with us and enlightening our participants on this topic. I thank all the participants who have joined us today. Thank you for your cooperation and enthusiasm. Lastly, I'd like to thank the team of the Amicus Curie for providing an outstanding opportunity to its participants. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, again for your time from your busy schedule. Thank you again, sir. We look forward in having more such session with you, sir, in the near future. Thank you for your time, sir, again.
Thank you. Thank you.
participants can now deboard the platform. Thank you for joining.